Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Abyss.
Welcome to the Abyss. Back with some more shenanigans, if you will.
You know, I couldn't imagine ever entering the Abyss without a cold ass beer. Pop.
That just makes it that
Pop.
much better. Oh, you mean like this?
That was beautiful.
That's one of the best sounds in the world. You know, I think I might sound way out of line here. I'm incorrect, but I think it was.
I was gonna say that quote too. I was gonna say that was so weird because we're on the same wavelength. Because I was about to say, you know, Benjamin Franklin said that beer is proof that God
loves us.
That
and
wants
us
people
happy.
to happy. Yeah,
Yeah,
that was fucking weird.
that's
dude.
weird. We're in
Whoa,
the same exact spot. God, we've known each other for too long.
Yeah, we've worked together for like 5
You know,
years.
cheers to Ben Franklin.
Yeah.
So the beer we're drinking tonight, this ice cold beer, is by Rogue Brewing Company, and it's called Out of Line. It says dedicated to going rogue. It's a pretty good one. It's a West Coast India Pale Ale. We drink a lot of
it's
pale
fucking
ales.
delicious,
I love
dude.
it.
I like it right now.
But I have to tell you a story. So driving to your house, I had a mini heart attack. Like legit, I scared the shit out of myself.
Did you get like the what was the thing from Wendy's, the Baconator or something?
God, no, not like I didn't have clogged arteries, Mr. Actual heart attack. No, I scared myself because, you know, we have our kid. He's 6 months old now, getting huge. But we bought one of those mirrors that you put on the back seat so you can look in your mirror and then see their face.
Oh,
So it's like a mirror into a mirror. I keep forgetting that we have it. And so I'm like looking at my rear view and I see like a movement because I put my arm down and I thought someone was in the back seat. I almost shit my pants. It scared the hell out of me.
the old what is it? The brights, the person flashing the brights in the story from the car behind.
Yeah.
Like someone had a knife, was gonna stab you.
Yeah. I'm like, what the hell is going on? So it scared me. And we've had it now for probably a couple weeks and I still keep forgetting that we have that goddamn thing back there. So I'm already scared jumping into this thing.
Yeah. Tonight's gonna be an interesting episode because we're doing a lot of I want to say short stories, but they're actually, you know, real anomalies that have happened in the world.
Unexplained anomalies that have happened. And this is a pretty fun one to research.
Yeah, I found some interesting stuff on here, so I'm excited to share.
I am as well. Are you going to kick us off or do you want me to go?
You know, let's usually we go over the topics, but we got so many, we're just gonna jump in. So I'm gonna go over blood rain.
Blood rain.
Yeah, you walk outside and get Hep C.
Oh, God. No.
Yeah, you don't do that.
That's when you get your blood umbrella.
That's not okay. Yeah, you need an umbrella for blood rain. So
Hazmat suit.
So imagine this, right? So you wake up, Britain. You're getting ready for work. I don't know what you do. Maybe you put some eggs and bacon in a pan. You start cooking it up, and all of a sudden you hear a strike of thunder, like a thunderclap. Like
thunder, yeah.
It's sort of like thunder, but it's a lot louder and aggressive. Maybe
Okay.
like a jet.
So it's like a big explosion,
Yeah.
essentially. Okay.
Yeah. So you run outside to see what happens, and you start to see rain start to happen, but you realize the rain is a little bit off because it's the color of blood.
Oh. Good old red color.
It sounds like a nice little fake story, right? We could write some about this, but it did happen, and it happened India. Right? So what would you think? What would you think if there was just fucking red rain raining down on your house?
I'd be like, no, I'm not going to work today. I'm going to stay home. I'm not contracting Hep C. I would literally, I would be really concerned about... well, okay, here's the thing. If it looks like blood, you don't know if it is blood.
Right. I mean, chances are, there's no way it's going to be blood unless, like, you're like, in hell or something. I don't know.
So I actually think it'd be pretty cool. I'd go out and be like, this is insane. Yeah.
I would assume it's like some type of, like, pollution or maybe
That's
a biological weapon. I would stay in my house, and I'd be, like, thinking, like, this better not strip the paint off my goddamn house.
You're worried about
like that.
the status of your house after this red rain.
I'd be pissed. So this happened during the time frame of July 25th to September 23rd, 2001. Happened like sporadically. So rumor has it, or as eyewitness speculation, you know, rumors start to happen. People want attention. But people said when they saw this blood rain pour down, they said that the trees shed their leaves the next day and they turned gray, almost burnt-like, and they smelt burnt.
Some kind of poison or, like you said, pollution.
Yeah.
Something's not right with this rain.
Other villages said that the rain wasn't just red, although predominantly it was, but some said, you know, they saw green, they saw black, they saw yellow. Both of those colors, for some reason, just really bother me. Like yellow rain, I'm like thinking about like a
Like
disease. I don't know. I don't like it.
Someone's pissing from the rooftops. Yellow rain, that's disgusting. I mean, any color of rain that's not clear rain is bad.
Scientists obviously in India, being intrigued, took samples. They put it under some type of scientific scrutiny. They determined that there was 9 million red particles per millimeter of rain, which,
Holy
I don't know
shit.
what that means necessarily, but it seems like there was a lot of red in there, right? Although they did observe some samples that were taken that had other colors, corroborating the claims of multicolored rain going around in that area. There were large trace amounts of nickel, magnesium, titanium, chlorium, and copper in these samples.
Metal rain.
Yeah. Well, yeah, exactly. It was heavy metals. The red particles themselves were made of oxygen and small amounts of iron and silicon. They say that another form of life outside of carbon could be made out of silicon. So I found that very interesting.
That is interesting. Did they say, I might be jumping the gun here, but did they say how long this rain actually lasted?
So there was a range, right? I mean, it was sporadically, but it would happen in different villages around July 25th to September 23rd,
Okay.
2001. So what were the theories of why this rain, the color of it was distorted? There was speculation that it came from an exploding meteor. This is really interesting
that's
because of
really
the
cool.
large clap noise that happened prior to the rain.
Yeah.
Because that,
So it's like an explosion.
right.
Then they're thinking it's a meteor.
If a meteor is a certain size, when it hits the atmosphere, because it comes from space,
It explodes.
and the pressure becomes larger as it hits the Earth, it just fucking explodes.
Yeah.
And that's what they thought. And scientists at the time couldn't find any DNA in the red particles, and they found that very strange because it looked like organic life. Some of the scientists observed cell replication, like the red particles would duplicate themselves, which is only something that organic life could do. So it was very, very intriguing. And a lot of the scientists were like, well, maybe this was some type of extraterrestrial origin, right?
Oh, aliens.
It's panspermia is what it's called, right?
What? Wait,
yeah,
say
that's
that
what
again.
It's called. It's literally what's called panspermia.
Panspermia.
Yeah, there's a belief among fringe scientists that life came from asteroids. So for a long time, no one had another solid theory from that. I remember the first time I heard that, maybe it was 5 years ago on the fucking History Channel. I was like, what the hell is that, right?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Things did kind of change. So clearly this was at least 10 years ago, because a big piece of the puzzle was allegedly solved in 2013. Scientists were able to find missing DNA, and with this information, they were able to tie the organic red particles to a type of algae called Trentifolia. Probably fucking butchered that. I don't know.
I thought you were supposed to be like some kind of scientist. Where's the science with cleat? Get this shit right,
You know,
bro.
I like science, but I'm not a linguistic
You're not a wordsmith?
person. I'm not a wordsmith, as I think I've said in the past.
You're not a scholar or a gentleman, damn you.
The problem, though, with this is a lot of people dispute this to a degree, at least conspiracy theorists, because these spores come from a plant that's not native to India. Mm-hmm. The closest possible source to this is coming from Austria, which is pretty far away.
I was going to say, that's not even close.
Not only that, but the number of spores that would have been released by this organic life to cause this effect would have been massive and done at the exact same time. You're talking about a whole area in India that was raining blood. I mean, that would cause a lot of spores, right? A lot of people say that this is the government explanation to cover up this event, that they don't want to say that extraterrestrial life is coming from meteors. So, I mean, what do you guys think? What do you think, Britton? What do you think is the most probable answer here?
I don't know. I like the idea that it came from a comet because, again, that would explain the explosion and the rain. It reminds me of that comet, I think it was 2015, the Lovejoy. Do you remember that one? That was
It
releasing
landed in Antarctica?
alcohol and stuff.
Oh,
No, the one that was flying that released compound sugars or simple sugars and alcohol, huge traces.
I heard about that. I think there's a different way to make alcohol outside of organic life, although there was a meteor that crashed in Antarctica, that it looks like there's a single cell organism fossil in there, which is pretty interesting.
Yeah. I mean, it's not, it is kind of a cool topic. I mean, it's going to be kind of a weird, I guess, comparison, but I just think of meteors as space taxis. They're just taking shit from one place and just spreading it throughout the galaxy.
Right, and that's a really interesting theory because you got the asteroid belt, but
Yeah.
they've on the space station they brought up like bacteria, viruses, and other like single cell organisms. They can survive up there for years, if not
Interesting.
more, depending on what the actual strain is. So it's definitely possible that there's life that can thrive up there.
Yeah.
Was there a meteor broken up in the sky raining microscopic life forms on India? Or is the explanation much closer to Earth, being some type of lame, bizarre, large-scale spore release?
Maybe it was just a plane that was transporting blood for people that needed it, and they
From
just
the
needed
Red Cross?
They just needed to dump their load because it was just getting too heavy. They were going down.
I imagine like some India guy going outside while it's raining like you, and he's like, this can't be blood, and he licks it. He's like, no, that's O negative.
Oh, that's O negative. That's
I can
definitely
tell.
blood. Oh shit. Kids, get inside. Well, interesting because mine also has to do with some type of unexplainable raining, if you
Ooh.
will say. So, kind of like you, Clee, I'm gonna preface this, and all of our listeners, I want you to imagine with me, if you will. Just let's go on a journey really quick. Imagine you're just sitting on your porch in the morning. It's like
Drinking
around,
a beer because you have a problem.
yeah, you're drinking a beer, you have a problem, or if you don't have a problem, you're having coffee, cup of lemonade, whatever. It's like noon. It's nice outside. There's a gentle breeze. Sunshine's hitting your face. There's not a care in
I'm
the
really
world.
enjoying
right?
this.
Right, exactly. And you're taking it all in, right? All of a sudden, you hear like this weird slapping sound on the ground, right? And you're like, "What the fuck is that?" So you kind of get up and investigate, and then all of a sudden you realize it's raining meat.
You know what
Like-
I would think?
What would you think?
I'd be like, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And I go back inside.
That's probably fair, but yeah, this and like you, Cleet, when you propose such an insane thing, it can't quite be real, but this is absolutely a real thing, and it actually happened on March 3rd, 1876, in Bath County, Kentucky, in the settlement of Rankin. This strange phenomenon is referred to none other than the Kentucky meat shower.
I'm really curious, like the texture of this meat. Like,
Oh, we'll get into it.
Okay.
But, I mean, I will say, so this is called the Kentucky meat shower. We live in a day and age where everything is on the internet, so I strongly urge caution that when you're Googling Kentucky meat shower, just be ready. Don't do it at work because you don't know what you're going to get.
might-
Now, again, we're going to go ahead and talk about this phenomenon, including theories as to what could have caused such an occurrence. The main witness here is Mrs. Crouch, who happens to be a farmer's wife. She was just sitting on her porch, right? She's making soap. Just enjoying the morning.
Got hit by a giant meat shower.
So there's nothing out of the ordinary here, right? She's just on her porch making some soap, and she hears a slap on the ground. And she's like, "What the hell is that?" Obviously, this isn't a sound that just happens out of nowhere. So you're like, "Okay, this is kind of weird." So she gets up to investigate. She walks about 40 feet from her house when all of a sudden she hears more slaps and realizes immediately it's raining chunks of meat from the sky.
Oh, hang on. Let me ask you something. What if you were sitting out on your porch, Britain, and a really nice cut of ribeye steak just plops down on your porch?
Well,
Would you eat it?
I pick it up. I've got a nice smoker on the deck. I turn that sucker on to like 400 degrees. Slap that thing on for a couple hours. I don't know. I'm
I
gonna
don't
try
think
it.
you would eat.
I wouldn't know. If it fell from the goddamn sky, are you kidding me?
I'd be tempted.
I mean, it depends on the circumstances. Like if I'm starving and I haven't eaten in a week, yeah, I'm gonna eat it. But like right now, I'm like, that's kind of fucking disgusting.
Yeah.
I mean, even if it's like
Makes
a
sense.
perfectly cut ribeye, I'm like, that's a little sketchy.
Could you imagine though, like
Ribeyes
bone
just don't fall from the
in.
sky.
It looks like really clean, like ready to cook.
Like prime butcher's cut. And you're
It's
like, I don't know.
okay, what if it was packaged? And
Okay.
it was like sealed.
I'd go ask my neighbors, like, you fucking throwing meat?
I would eat it
If it was packaged, yeah, I'd eat it. Especially if it's still a little cold, like it just came out of a fridge. Like, oh yeah. Okay, so this wasn't packaged and it wasn't a ribeye steak. So let's talk about what this was. So she explains the meat measuring 2 by 2 inches, with one piece being as long as her hand and being about an inch thick. Right? So they're landing all over her yard.
That's a lot of meat.
Yeah, just falling from the sky, right? So this crazy phenomenon lasted several minutes, and she said that the meat looked grisly, as if being torn from an animal's throat. So to answer your question, no, it doesn't look like it's prime meat. It looks like thick, too inch chunks of meat that are just like ripped to bits and grisly and gross. So it's not appetizing by any means.
Yeah, I probably wouldn't eat that.
No, and I wouldn't eat it either. So Mr. and Mrs. Crouch just are horrified, and they're taking this as a sign from God. Now, a sign of what? I'm not sure. He just doesn't throw meat down. I mean, if that's the case, he could easily solve world hunger, but this isn't happening.
What if you heard in the background really loud that Wendy's spokesman, the old lady, "Where's the meat?
Where's the meat?"
That's a sign from God.
Or the Arby's guy, "We have the meats." So, again, a sign of what? We're not really sure, but what other explanations exist for this sort of thing? Obviously, it's a sign or a warning from God. Funny enough, while the Crouches are staring in horror at this meat just cascading down all over their farm, their cat decides to have itself a little brunch and begins snacking on this mystery meat. So they're watching like, what the fuck is this? And the cat's like, hell yeah, let me at it. Now, once the meat ceased to fall, and it covered an area of 100 feet long and 50 feet wide, and some of the pieces were even sticking to the surrounding fences on the property. So this is a huge area just full of meat.
I'd be so pissed. Can you imagine having to like clean that up?
No.
Imagine mowing your lawn like the next day.
It's like fucking meat.
Like your fucking lawnmower gets clogged up full of meat.
It's like just spraying meat chunks everywhere. I mean, at that point, it's just going to sit in the sun. It's just going to become jerky. But I mean, the cat's
smell. Those gonna smell.
Yeah.
It's gonna get rancid.
So the cat's cleaning it up for him, though. So I think that part's already cleared. So this raised several questions. Obviously, meat just doesn't fucking fall from the sky. How did this happen? What is the meat? Where did this come
I'm
from?
gonna take a guess. We don't share how this happens, but I'm gonna take a guess.
Let's hear it.
Some type of tornado happened by a meat plant where they mince meat.
That's very clever.
Maybe Campbell's, or Chunky's.
Those are soup companies, bro.
Yeah, but they got meat in there, dude. Like
I don't think it's actually
you got
meat.
chicken noodle soup.
Do you think it's real meat in Campbell's?
Well, I mean, you said it was meat from the sky, so I'm taking your word from
Okay,
it. But
that's
the
fair.
chunky soup, like, there's a lot of little bits of meat.
Okay, that's fair. Or it's like a butcher shop just
Yeah.
exploded. Okay, that's cool.
Just exploded.
So, I mean, obviously these are theories that you'd think of because the tornado thing, I think, happened a while ago where it was like fish. It picked up fish or something from the ocean.
Yeah.
I don't know. So, anyway, all these questions are being raised. So, obviously, tests are going to be done on this meat to determine the origin. However, when word spread about the meat shower, all the neighboring communities flooded to the farm. Like, bullshit, you're lying. And they show up and there's meat everywhere. So, they're like, what the fuck is all this?
I have a new theory.
Okay.
So a tornado hit a razor blade factory and then went over a cow farm. And that's what happened.
So, a tornado carrying
Yeah.
a razor blades
Yeah.
chopped up the cows. The meat was taken in the tornado.
Yeah.
I like that there. I think you nailed it right on, man. So the people they're flooding to this barn and they're starting to say, hey, maybe we know what's going on. They're going to see for themselves. They're going to offer their own theories. Now, upon first glance, this meat appeared to be beef. So it looks like beef, right? So they're like, okay, it's beef. However, sometimes if you want to know what something is,
Gotta eat
you
it.
gotta eat it.
Yeah,
You gotta taste it, right? Now, a lot of people weren't ready to just throw this mystery meat down their gullet. They're just like, nah, I don't think this is a good idea. There were two guys, however, that were like, okay, we'll try it. So they popped the meat into their mouths. I don't know if they didn't say if they cooked it or not. I don't know if they just picked it up and threw it in their mouths. But they claimed that it was either lamb or deer meat, is what it tasted like to them.
That's so specific. I've never had deer meat, but lamb is delicious.
Lamb is good. I've never had deer either. A local hunter named B.F. Ellington, which just sounds like a badass hunter name.
That sounds like a meat name. Like that would be a meat brand, right? I bet he knew.
It's like, get a chunk of B.F. Ellington's rack of ribs.
Yeah, that sounds like a brand name.
Yeah, no, it's that B.F. Ellington's Meat Factory. I mean, maybe. So B.F. Ellington claimed it to be bear meat. So he pops in his mouth. He's like, no, that's absolutely bear meat.
I wonder what bear tastes like. I need to be more cultured.
Yeah. Bear meat tastes like meat that falls from the sky. Obviously. Okay, so this is just what the people are speculating. They're eating this. It's like a fucking sample handout at Costco, for Christ's sakes. People are just popping this meat in their mouth. But they wanted to test it like factually and find out what it is. Now, a man by the name of Leopold Brandes supposedly identified the substance as Gnostic, which is a type of cyanobacteria that can be found in various environments and forms colonies composing of filaments of maniliform cells in a gelatinous sheath. So it sounds disgusting, and it looks really repulsive. We can throw some pictures on YouTube, but it's like this big gelatinous, gross mess. Now, in an attempt to confirm his theory, he sent samples to the Newark Scientific Association, where a Dr. Alan McLean Hamilton, which sounds like a doctor's name, Alan McLean Hamilton, he wrote a letter back that also appeared in the medical record and stated that the meat was identified as either lung tissue from a horse or a human infant.
They were eating babies?
Yeah, a horse or a human infant, which, oddly enough, both of those structures are almost identical. So it's lung tissue from a horse or a human child, which is falling from the sky. So how the fuck does this happen? Further analysis was conducted, which proved 2 samples were lung tissue, 3 more samples were muscle tissue, and another 2 were actually cartilage. If we jump back to Brandeis' theory of it being Gnostic, he heavily relied on the fact that Gnostic expands into a jelly-like substance when rain lands on it. He theorized that the meat chunks had fallen along with the rain. However, there were no reports that it had even been raining that day, so it's not Gnostic. It's definitely meat. So how did this happen exactly? So, Cleet, you've shared some of your theories. You think it's a tornado, one that hit a razor factory and hit cows, but now we've got horses or children. We're not going to crack any jokes.
Razor blades, but we could interchange the animals, right?
Yeah.
A bear factory.
A bear factory, yeah, because those exist. There's a good old bear factory off of the freeway there. So many locals buy into the notion that the meat was vomited up by buzzards.
Ew.
So it sounds kind of weird, but this is a common practice with buzzards, wherein if they see one of their own vomit up their food, they immediately follow suit and they all vomit up their food at the same time.
Who would have thought buzzards had weak stomachs?
This theory was presented by a Dr. L.D. Castenbein in the Louisville Medical News as the best possible explanation to the meat shower. Buzzards are also known to vomit as a quick escape method and a defensive method when they are threatened. When asked about the flatness of the meat, it was determined by Fort that pressure had caused the meat to flatten, and even noted that a mere 9 days later, on March 12, 1876, London had red corpuluses with a vegetable-like appearance rain down.
That's gross. Those people ate buzzard puke.
Yeah. So, but here's the thing. It was never actually proven. That's just the most likely explanation, is that a bunch of buzzards found some horses, were just eating them, and then there was a huge swarm above it, and then when one threw up, they all threw up at the same time. But that's a lot of buzzards in a very small area that covered a huge... Anyway, take that. That's a lot of buzzards that throw up everywhere. So, yeah, it is most likely buzzard puke, but it's not 100% proven. So
I think I have an alternate theory.
Let's hear about it.
God was pissed.
He was showing vegans that they're full of shit. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the Kentucky meat shower. If you've got your own theory, send it to us. I'm curious to hear what you have to say.
I kind of got hungry just hearing meat all the time, especially that ribeye steak.
I wonder if it's ever rained pizza anywhere. But I'm curious, Cleet, what's the next anomaly that you're going to hit us with here? Is it more rain? Is it rain involved?
Water's involved.
Okay, that's close enough.
Yeah.
Is it red water?
No.
Is it full of meat?
No.
Okay.
So let's say you want to go on a road trip. You want to go camping. Want to have a good time. Maybe you want to go boating. I don't know.
That all sounds amazing.
Yeah, it does, right?
But I'm worried you're going to fuck it up.
Let's say that lake is murderous. Wants to kill.
Is it that red lake?
No. I want to tell you a story about a village that got killed by a lake. 1,700 people. They all died from the lake. Some murderous, bloodthirsty lake. Now, this happened on August 21st, 1986. It was, I'm going to butcher this again, Neos Lake. So what happened was, the village, maybe they were cooking some food. They were doing whatever, small villages do in Africa. They go to bed.
Just villaging it up.
Yeah, whatever they do. I don't know. Well, they all go to bed, and unfortunately, only a few people wake up. The rest of the village is dead.
Jesus, can you imagine?
Yeah, it's really, it's messed up.
You go to sleep with your whole village. You wake up, you're like, this got some good sleep. And the rest of the village is dead?
Yeah, it's a nightmare. Your whole family. There was a lot of villagers that talked about I woke up, my whole family was dead.
I don't like that.
Yeah, it's messed up. So, it's lucky that there were a few survivors that gave us clues about how everything happened, right? Because if you just woke up, right, in Utah where I live, let's say I wake up, I go outside, all my neighbors are dead. except for me. Like, what would you think? It's crazy.
Well, the first thing I think is you did it because you're the only one alive.
There's a bunch of blood on your hands and a knife.
It was raining blood over your house, and then everyone fucking died. You have anything to tell us, Cleet?
Yes.
You're slingshotting meat in your neighbor's backyard. You got to stop.
So another thing on there is there's no marks on the bodies.
Oh.
There's no bruises. There's no, like, broken bones or anything.
They're just dead.
Yeah. One of the villagers, his name was Joseph Niquain, who woke up in the middle of the night, described a cloud of doom, is what he said.
Oh, my God.
His
That's
words,
an omen.
Yeah. So to just quote him, he talked about he wakes up, there's a cloud around him. He could not speak. He became unconscious. I could not open my mouth because then I smelled something terrible. I heard my daughter snoring in a terrible way, very abnormal. When crossing to my daughter's bed, because I guess he got up, he was trying to fight this urge to go unconscious, he collapsed and fell to the floor. His arms had some wounds. I didn't really know how I got those wounds. I don't know, he probably like fucking fell and hurt himself. I wanted to speak. My breath would not come out. My daughter was already dead by the time I got to her. It's fucked
That is
up, dude.
horrible.
Right? It's just this cloud of doom. And how does that come from a lake? As I was saying before, other villagers just went to bed and woke up and everyone else was dead. You know? So scientists were intrigued. They were like, well, what the hell happened?
What makes
Right?
them survive while everyone else died?
Yeah, it's fucking coincidence. Cruel coincidence.
Coincidence is a bitch.
Luckily, you know, this happened fairly recently when we have the scientific method and a lot of people that are very intelligent. And they found that the bodies had succumbed to asphyxiation during the night.
So they suffocated in their sleep.
Yeah.
That sounds like a horrible way. I mean, I hope they didn't suffer. I mean, asphyxiation, you know,
It's not the worst way to go.
it's not. But I mean, like if
It's not
I
like
just-
a tornado with razor blades
right,
coming
yeah,
through.
that's the worst way to go. I just imagine like I hope the kids didn't wake up like gasping for air type of thing. I hope it's just like they were sleeping and then they just
you know,
stopped.
flatlined.
Because I want to die in my sleep. Not to sound morbid, I want to go to sleep and when I'm old and just never wake up.
I want to die in a hot tub.
That's pretty cool.
You're just sitting there relaxing, and you just relax a little too much.
You got a cup of whiskey in your hand. You
Yeah,
take that
and a cigar in my mouth.
take that last sip, that last puff. That's poetic.
Like, you know what? It's time.
Well, if you die before me and they call and say, "Hey, your podcast, partner died," because we're still going to be doing this when we're super old. I'm gonna like, "It's a hot tub, huh?" Yeah, it's
Yeah.
a hot tub. It's like
There was a cigar and whiskey.
it's like fucking A. I knew it.
So according to the scientific report, around 9 p.m., the lake had a massive burst, and a bunch of CO2 came out. And the CO2 was heavier than the air, so it just kind of, it blanketed the surface.
It's like this big poisonous gas, like an underwater
Exactly.
volcano type thing.
Yeah. So they don't know exactly what happened. So what they were describing is the lake always had CO2 at the bottom of it. It was really deep, like Lake Tahoe, for example.
Yeah.
Right?
With the swirling tornado bodies.
And the pressure held the CO2 down, and for whatever reason, there was geological things
A shift
that
of
kept
some
bringing
sort.
up CO2.
Yeah.
Right? And then something sparked down there, a pressure that the water couldn't repel. And just like a giant cloud, it came up through the water, spread out, and fucking murdered everybody.
Goddamn clouds.
Yeah. All right?
That scares me because I live by a lake. I live by a very dirty lake. So if I see this big fucking ominous cloud come near my way,
Sorry, dude. You're probably going to die. I'll be sad for like a couple of days for
I mean,
you,
you
though.
live pretty relative to a lake as well.
I'll give you a good eulogy.
Thanks, man.
Britain was kind of a dick, but he was okay.
That's the best eulogy, man. Thank you.
He was okay.
He was okay. If you could have said worse thing. I mean, that's if I get the okay, it's good in my book. I mean, he was sort of okay. He was.
I tolerated him as
I
a
d-
person.
Yeah, I could stand him for short durations of time. Other than that, he was just pushing his luck. He's lucky I didn't kill him first. The fucking cloud's lucky.
A scientist on the case was quoted saying the lake literally exploded in what was known as a limnic eruption, sending a foundation of water over 300 feet in the air. That's fucking crazy.
I mean, it would be scary, but this would be one of those things that would be really cool to see. If it,
was-
wasn't
yeah.
if
Like-
it wasn't a toxic fucking death cloud.
it created a tsunami,
Yeah.
right? But the waves, probably didn't hit the village, but the gas did. So here is where it gets a little bit crazy. This is where I feel like it gets a little cringy, right?
Okay.
So there have been reports of similar phenomenon happening in other lakes, such as Lake Manam, where there was a CO2 eruption that killed 37 people. No one knows exactly what triggered these geological events. Engineers were able to offset future explosions in these lakes by installing pipes that let CO2 gradually come from the lake beds.
Okay.
The scariest part is, you never know what lakes really have this problem.
Yeah, you can't just go putting pipes in every lake in existence. It just doesn't work that way.
So you just never know. Like the next time you're camping out by the lake, just bear in mind there is a small chance that you will not wake up the next day.
That could very well be your last fishing trip.
Yeah,
That's very ominous, Cleet.
I know.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, you're welcome.
But I would expect nothing less from our show. Just a bunch of darkness. All right, well, I'm going to be questioning every lake I go to now. I'm just going to be like waiting for this rumbling under the water with an explosion. I'm going to jump away from more weather-related patterns. Have you ever heard, Cleet, of the Great Sheep Panic of 1888?
I heard it was bad.
So the Great Sheep Panic of 1888, it sounds like a metal band name. So it's a pretty short one, but it's very ominous and mysterious, right? So this phenomenon is called either the Great Sheep Panic of 1888, or you can find it under the mysterious Oxfordshire Sheep Panic of 1888. Now, on the evening of November 3rd, 1888, in southern England, at roughly 8 o'clock that evening, tens of thousands of sheep simultaneously escaped from their pens and dwellings and scattered. Like tens of thousands at 8 o'clock just burst out of their dwellings and scattered all over the valley.
Maybe they became self-aware.
Yeah, maybe. The next morning, they were found all over, with some sheep still hiding under bushes, panting with utter terror. Like they had just seen the creepiest thing they've ever seen. Now, I don't know, I didn't know much about sheep, but from what I gathered, they're pretty smart. Like they're up there close to pigs, and pigs are very intelligent animals. So it would take a lot to startle a sheep. Like it would. This bad, right? Where they're scattering all over the place. So large groups were also found crowded into corners of fields miles away from where they were supposed to be.
Wow, that's a pretty long distance, I would say,
Yeah.
for sheep.
So like these farmers are waking up the next morning and their herds are completely gone. And they're traveling miles and they're clumped together in corners of fields and they're hiding and they're panting, and something obviously terrified them. So what could possibly terrify tens of thousands of sheep? Cleve?
They were on Skinwalker Ranch.
You motherfucker.
Did I get it right?
No, it's in
Damn
England. It's in England.
Oh.
So, okay, so overall, let me paint this picture. The sheep had spread out over a 200 square mile area. So it's a huge area. When speculation surfaced that it was probably people messing around, the Times reported on November 20th, 1888, and I quote, "Malicious mischief was out of the question because even 1,000 men could not have frightened and released all these sheep." So it's physically impossible for even like people to do this.
Yeah, I don't know. It's weird. I can't come up with an explanation.
Wow.
Maybe a razor blade tornado.
That was
I
the
don't know.
razor blade tornado. You got it, man. So, okay, so with that out of the question, what exactly caused this, right? A possible explanation was proposed by Nature, which is a scientific journal, that it had been, and I quote, "an intensely dark night with occasional flashes of lightning. Panics have often occurred, for sheep are notoriously timid and nervous animals." Can you buy into that, though?
Well, maybe it was a meteor that blew up in the sky and started raining blood, and they ran.
You're just trying to combine all this shit together.
Yeah, yeah.
But think about that though. So they're saying that it's a really dark night with scattered rain showers. How many storms have we had?
Yeah, I don't
And
think
sheep
that
haven't
storms would scare sheep.
Tens of thousands.
And
this
open like
hasn't-
the gates. Like who opened the fucking gates? How'd the gates get open?
Yeah. Well, I mean, they jumped. They escaped.
They jumped.
Like they got out hard. Like they were getting away from whatever happened, right? But you can't really.
I know what it is.
What is it?
It's a chupacabra.
La chupacabra.
Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, you can't blame weather though, because weather happens. This doesn't happen every time a fucking rainstorm happens. So another speculation was that of a possible earthquake. However, no one reported to feeling one, so that was quickly debunked. So this leaves a lot of speculations and questions because literally we don't know what happened to this day. Was it simply bad weather that caused the sheep to flee? Was it maybe 2,000 men who released them in a widespread free the sheep movement? Was it the ever elusive extraterrestrials pulling another fast one on the human species?
I hate them.
We may never know. But it is interesting to note, however, that another panic occurred in 1989 in Berkshire. So, Cleet, who is releasing all these goddamn sheep?
I don't fucking know, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that hasn't been explained. Literally, the best explanation, people are saying that it's super dark. And one man was like, it was so dark, in fact, that I couldn't see my hand in front of my face. And it's like...
It's got to be like misty dark.
Yeah, they were saying like maybe there was like soot or ash in the sky that was blocking out light. But weather wouldn't make sheep do this. So literally, there's really no other explanation for it. So tens of thousands of sheep just got away. But if you're seeing tens of thousands of sheep run away, your best bet, fucking join them. Go, because something is coming.
Well, fuck damn.
What'd you say? Did you say fuck damn?
I said, well, fuck damn.
That's a new one. Well, fuck damn. So, I mean, I wish I had more of an explanation, but that's literally one of those... Oh,
We gotta pause. I'm gonna save this.
what the fuck?
You fucking tore it off the goddamn thing.
Where did it...
I gotta have faith.
I definitely apologize about that, everyone. My mic decided it wanted to fall off the goddamn table. But as I was saying before I was so rudely interrupted, I wish I had a better explanation, but literally no one can explain how these sheep just got out and went their own ways.
Weird.
You're a man of many words there, Cletus.
Yep. All right. Let's go over the last anomaly. This has to do with water again. Have you ever heard of the Devil's Kettle?
No, but that's a pretty cool... Again, another probable metal band name, the Devil's Kettle.
It really is. It's not some type of sick kettle corn if you ever had that. You know, that stuff is pretty good. Sugar popcorn. Or, as the locals call this place, the waterfall to nowhere. So imagine this. You follow a stream, a river. You walk down it. You go to the very end. And you just see, what do you call it, a typhoon, a whirlpool, go into a hole. And that water just goes into the hole. What would you think?
I'd be like, oh, that's pretty cool. But my last urge would be to jump into it. But I'm sure there's people out there that's like, hell yeah.
Like, it's a lot of water,
Yeah.
right? Like, you will die.
Yeah.
He would jump
But
in.
I'm sure there's people like, hell no, I said my last urge would be to jump
All right, fair enough. I misinterpreted that. I thought you'd get into scuba gear and fucking
It's
jump
like,
in there.
oh, that looks pretty cool. Check this shit out.
Scuba Steve!
It's like,
To me, it almost is like a bottomless pit. Where exactly is this going? So this is
hell. Obviously, it's the Devil's Kettle. It's going straight to hell.
apparently it's just north of Lake Superior. It's a river stream, and this whirlpool just constantly has water going in it. So where could that water go? Why is it not getting filled up? There is a common assumption that this must be an exit point somewhere that leads back to Lake Superior, but there's been a lot of tests on here where scientists have thrown in like large amounts of dye or logs and ping pong balls, and even a rumor of someone throwing a car in there because it's a giant ass fucking hole.
Well, quit.
And they've
fucking
never
up.
seen like where they go. Like
Yeah.
you imagine like you get 2,000 ping pong balls, right?
Yeah.
You just throw them into this whirlpool. You would imagine they'd come up somewhere,
Yeah.
right? But they never have.
Well, here's the thing. In modern technology now, we have cameras that can withstand water and severe depths. Throw a fucking camera in there.
Well, what they're
With a
saying is it
tracking
gets
device.
dark and there's rocks, like it'll get beat up. Like there's a current and it just goes down, right? Because they've thought about that. They thought about putting cameras in there, but that thing is going to get beat up and it's going to break. I think scientists have even tried that. To make this even more strange, geologists in the area, because it's in Minnesota, are kind of perplexed because there's not a lot of like limestone or soft rocks in the area. So there's not like really a potential for like a soft underground like river going on. So it's just it's really strange. Why isn't Whirlpool not getting like clogged up? There's a lot of debris that constantly go through it, and where is it going? Nobody
I would
knows.
imagine that the water is fucking hot, because if it's going right to hell, that's boiling hot.
You just see steam start coming up from it and
It's like,
screams.
whoa,
Satan.
Satan. This is my hole. Oh,
So
God.
You know, this isn't a big one, but I find it intriguing. I've always found the idea of a bottomless pit to be interesting.
It's fascinating.
You know, they got this story on Coast to Coast, and we might cover it in a later episode, but it's called Mel's Hole. It's just interesting. I remember when I was playing a video game when I was a kid, and it was like this, it was back when I was like 10, so it was like on the computer. It wasn't very complex, but you could walk the character into a pit and you died, and like text came up and it said you fell into a bottomless hole.
Yeah.
It was just, it's interesting. I don't know.
But you're always taught that there's some exit point. Like the thought of something that is never ending is fascinating. I can't comprehend how something wouldn't end.
The thing that bothers me about it the most, I think that humans have this innate drive to go as far as you can into the deep. It's like spelunking, right? There's like this craving to go into the deepest caves as you can. You got to get to the bottom.
Curiosity killed the
right?
cat, bro.
Like, to me, even though that I'd be looking at this, part of me, this little bit of the back of my unconscious would be like, you just got to go in there, man. You gotta fucking find it.
You need
where that
to
goes.
find out what this is.
And you know, the funny thing I thought of when I was researching this isn't a huge. I just thought it was really interesting. But I was thinking about our Lake Tahoe episode with the bodies at the bottom.
Yeah.
Like, it sounds like this would be a good place to throw bodies. We should talk to the mafia about it.
There you go.
He's like, there you go.
Literally, if nothing is coming back up and they're not finding anything, cha-ching. It's a serial killer's best point.
So again, I don't know. There's not a lot of content on this, but I just want to share it because it was very intriguing. But it's just a really interesting concept to me.
Yeah, I mean, a bottomless pit's just one of those things. But I mean, I'd be curious if anyone's actually gone to the Devil's Kettle. Let us know.
Yeah. So just for the viewers here, we are working on getting our Reddit episodes up. They're going to be up pretty soon. As for the creepypastas, we'll see what happens with that. We're kind of at the will of the creators. We definitely hope we get those back up as soon as possible, but we will make sure we have creepypastas going on this podcast going forward. As for other content, just keep recommending what you want to hear from us. Again, it's entertheabyss.pod@gmail.com. Like, share, and smash that goddamn subscribe button.
God, I could not have said that any better. And we do have a pretty good, steady list right now of viewer submissions, but we can never have too much. Guys, literally, if you think it's like, oh, this is pretty cool, I'd want to hear about it, we do the fucking research. Just send it our way. We'll talk about it. We really want to hear from you guys. We'll give you a shout out, and if it's really compelling. But so thanks for sticking around for these crazy anomalies. If you have any more, send them our way.
One last thing before we go. I thought it was really cool. Today we hit 20 subscribers on YouTube. I'm kind of the person that puts the YouTube stuff together. I'm really excited to when we get to 100 subs. So if you're at this point listening to this podcast, please subscribe if you like what you hear. Share it with your friends. But as always, thank you for entering the abyss.
Until next week.